Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Goonie here, bringing another Arsenal talk. Well, in this Arsenal talk, I'll be covering the game against Manchester United. Um, you know, is there any point to really talk about the first 74 minutes of the game? Again, you saw it was the same lineup once again. Uh, pre-match, Lee Dixon on the NBC broadcast was saying how it's good that you have the same starting 11. It was the sixth straight game that we had the same starting 11. Of course, with Aaron Ramsey on the right side, Santi Cazorla as the CM, and he said it brings team unity and familiarity to the side, and that it's good. Um, okay, we haven't scored a single goal um, for two straight games at least. If you look at the Chelsea game, Swansea game, and now this game, it was an own goal. It wasn't a Theo Walcott goal. It was an own goal by Blackett. Um, Again, it just doesn't work. I mean, I don't know how many times, I'm like a broken record, unfortunately. I keep on saying the same things. But they need to be said. They need to be keep on, you know, they need to be thrown out there consistently because it just doesn't work. Santi Gazzola had a terrible game once again. Didn't influence the game whatsoever. Probably gave the ball away about 6 or 7 times. Um, I mean, he couldn't do anything. Defensively, he was awful as well. He just didn't do anything. He just didn't look interested today either. It didn't look like he had any type of energy to him whatsoever. Anytime he gave the ball away, he either tried to apologize to the player he was trying to pass it to, or he just kind of flapped his arms up in the air. And when you make a mistake, you try to make up for it. When you make a mistake, you try to get the ball back, and there just wasn't any effort in Santi Cazorla today. Um, Again, the first like 74 minutes, it was just awful. Even coming out into the second half, I mean, we didn't have one shot at all. It was the first time since Liverpool in 2004, November of 2004, that we didn't have a single shot in the first half. Um, I mean, that's pretty deafening. I mean, you're even talking back in November of 2004. I mean, you're talking about the Invincibles. I mean, that must have been pretty a difficult game back then to not have a single shot when you're talking about like Henry and Bergkamp and Perez and Lundberg, and you're talking about all those guys, and they couldn't get a shot on goal or even just a shot period. Um, and it was the same thing today. I mean, it was just we were creating nothing. The passing was awful. Couldn't complete more than like two or three passes at a time. There was no link up play. Giroud was surrounded. You know, when you play this lineup as many times as we have, 6 times in a row now, it gets to the point to where you give the opposition, Manchester United, they know they know what they're going to come up against. I mean, they were high pressing us throughout the first half. I mean, that's all they were doing. Every time we had possession for a little bit, they high pressed us and they got the ball back. Why? Because they knew what we were going to do. They know that all they have to do is surround Giroud with both center halves. You can take him out of the game. Surround Sanchez with the fullback and the other CM. Take him out of the game. Have the other CM pretty much just mirror and just run around with Ozil. Take him out of the game. Aaron Ramsey, all you have to do is put a fullback or even the whoever the left winger Ashley Young was on that side. Just put him on Aaron Ramsey because Aaron Ramsey has no pace. He's not going to do anything special for you. He's not going to give you that width. With Bellerin, all you need to do is put the other fullback on him because it'll be pace with pace. And that's what it was. That's how the game was. We had nothing because Manchester United knew exactly what we were going to do. That goes on the manager for not rotating. That goes on the manager for not putting someone else out there. Someone should have been put else out there. I mean, you look at the Swansea game, you look at even the Chelsea game. It's why are you pushing the same guys out there again? Square peg round hole. even after this last game, saying against Swansea, if it, if that doesn't give you every indication that Aaron Ramsey does not belong on the right side, then I don't know what does. Same with this game. Um, if Arsene Wenger goes back and obviously he rewatches a game, whether it's after the game or even a day later, and he sits there and watches this game on TV where he can see everything, and if he still says that Aaron Ramsey belongs on the right side, it's a fucking joke. It really is. Um, the game didn't turn around until the 74th minute. That's when uh, Theo came on, and then that's when Jack came on. It completely changed the tempo of the game. The spacing, just by having Theo Walcott on that right wing, it opened up the entire game. Giroud had more space. Sanchez had more space. Ozil had a ton of space. And then what did you see? You saw Aaron Ramsey move from the right side back to being a central midfielder. And what happened? Him and Ozil pretty much ran the game along with Jack for the last 20 minutes of the game. I mean, then all of a sudden we created chance after chance. We had about maybe 4 or 5 good chances in the last 20 minutes of the game, and that's a lot of chances considering you're playing against a top four side. Um, it just boggles my mind. It just makes me want to punch a concrete wall. I'll probably break my hand by doing it, but Aaron Ramsey is so fucking good as a central midfielder. That's where he should be playing. He can't become a world-class player by playing on the right side, playing out of position. I'm sorry, but Santi has done good in the middle of the season. He kept us afloat along with Sanchez. We went on a nice run for the second half of the season, but call a spade a spade. I mean, if you want Aaron Ramsey to become a world-class player, you can't play him out of position. You can't just say, well, this is our best 11 players. So what if it's our best 11 players? It's still not going to win us the game. And once you saw Aaron Ramsey in the center of the park, in that central midfielder role, he was amazing. He was fucking amazing. When he was on the right side for the first 74 minutes, he was awful. He couldn't do anything. Couldn't dribble, couldn't pass, he couldn't do anything. All of a sudden he moves into Central Park, all of a sudden he's making himself dangerous. Like I keep on saying, he's a ninja assassin. And he gets in these pocket of spaces where he doesn't get marked, which is hilarious. That's how he had such a good season last year. This is how he gets all of his goals, is because for some reason he just goes unmarked, because he finds these pockets of space that, with Theo on the pitch, Giroud and Ozil, the defense is so concerned about those three guys, they forget about an Aaron Ramsey, even though he's so fucking good. There's only so many players that you can defend at one time. So the first 74 minutes was a fucking disaster. We had every right to lose that game. Everybody's saying after this game, oh, we deserved a point, we deserved something out of this. No, we didn't. We're lucky to get a point because it was an own goal on top of that. I mean, we didn't score a goal. We haven't scored a goal in open play in, since the Hall game. That's concerning when you have that many good attackers on the pitch. But again, we had no pace. Sanchez was the only guy with pace. And what do you do with that guy with pace? You just surround him with two players and take him completely out of the game. So then we have no pace. We have no passing lanes. Nothing. Nothing was happening in the first 74 minutes. The substitutions were right. They should have been early. We could have won that game if they were in the 60th minute. That's what pissed me off. Like, Louis van Gaal is up 1-0, and he brings in Van Persie for Falcao in the 60th minute when they're up 1-0. It almost seemed like Manchester United was down 1-0, and they needed a goal. At the 60th minute, you were just holding your hands up, saying, what the fuck? Arsene Wenger's substitutions, they were correct, obviously. But again, the timing of it wasn't correct. At least bring Jack into the game for Santi. Or bring Jack in to play him on the right and then push back Aaron Ramsey to the central midfielder role. You have to do something to switch up the tempo of the game because nothing was working. Um, you know, Monreal came out after the game and made a quote to saying that at halftime, the boss really dug into us. He was frustrated, he was mad. But again, coming out of the gates, they still weren't doing much. They weren't still. I think the only chance that we really had was that Giroud chance when Mesut Ozil, took the byline and tried to cut it back, and Giroud made a nice kind of like he made the ball spin back into him, but he lost his balance and all he could do was toe poke it at it, and De Gea was right there for the easy save. That was like our only real chance before that 74th minute. After that, it was just wide open. Everybody had a chance. Everybody could have a shot on goal. Um, at halftime, I was just like, if Santi stays on the pitch and Aaron Ramsey stays on the right side coming out of the second half, I'm done tweeting for the game because just wasn't worth it because I was just getting so frustrated, so pissed off throughout that game watching this team who has a ton more quality than Manchester United. I mean, you look at that Manchester United starting 11. No Di Maria, no Rooney because he's injured, no Van Persie to start the game. They really had nothing. Their goal, I don't know who to blame on that. I don't know if I should blame Ospina or Monreal was dragged into the box by Mata. No one was really marking Herrera. He really had no help because Santi Cazorla and Coquelin were pushed all the way over to the right side instead of having one for as tracking that other central midfielder. They were trying to surround Fellaini the entire match because they were so scared of his aerial threat. Of course, like basically like a free cross into the box, and Herrera just was totally unmarked, had a free shot. A lot of people think that Ospina should have did better. Maybe could have, but as a goalkeeper, I mean, you depend on your defenders to defend, and they just didn't do it on that goal. So after that first half, I was just like, you know what, I'm done. After the second half started, I was like, I'm done tweeting. I'm done even trying to even think about what is going through Arsene Wenger's mind or even the players' mind because all of them played the first 74 minutes like, well, we have two more games. We're going to get third anyway. All that we have is Sunderland and West Brom. No big deal. We can play however we want. We can even lose this game, and we don't care. That's how they played. They made a number of comments throughout the match on NBC talking about, are the players thinking about the FA Cup final? Do they not want to make a crunching tackle or make a little bit of a statement tackle? Because, if you watch this game too, it wasn't physical at all. Manchester United tried to get a little physical, but it really wasn't. Any type of old Manchester United Arsenal games, I mean, you can guarantee it was going to be a physical match. You can guarantee there's going to be at least 5 to 6 yellow cards being thrown around. There was only one yellow card, and it came at the end of the game to Herrera. I think it was like in the 90th minute that it came finally. So the game wasn't really physical, but the players they just didn't turn up. It was kind of, if you go back to the FA Cup quarterfinals and you look at the matchups, you look at both the team sheets from that Arsenal team to this Arsenal team, they're night and day. You had Welbeck up top, Chamberlain on the right, Sanchez on the left. Our pace just killed them in that game. They had zero options. They had zero identity. They couldn't even identify any of the runners of ours because the pace was just so overwhelming for Manchester United in that quarterfinal. And we did look like the best team from second one to the final whistle. In this game, we looked horrible. We looked like a completely different team. Why? Because we didn't have any pace. We didn't have any width. But again, once the 74th minute hit, Theo Walcott comes in the game. All of a sudden, Manchester United starts like shitting themselves. De Gea had to come out of the game because looked like he had some type of a hamstring pull, which is hilarious when they came off the game. The Vins going around as De Gea's off to Madrid. That was pretty great. But again, the entire game changed. Theo gave us that width. He gave us that pace, that ability to get behind. All of a sudden, like I said, you saw Drew get into space, Sanchez get into space, Ozil and Ramsey and Jack just had all the space to work with. All of a sudden, we became the more pacier team, the faster team. We look like the Arsenal that is 10 times better than this Manchester United side. And if the substitutions came in 10 minutes earlier, we probably could have won that game. There was another goal to be had. A lot of people, like I said, we deserved a point. In the first 74 minutes, we didn't deserve shit. We deserved to lose that game. But we got a point out of it. On the bright side, I tweeted this earlier. In the Northwest, Everton, Manchester United, Liverpool, Man City. Last year we had 0 points against them going up there. 0 points, and we pretty much got our asses kicked every single time we went up there. This season we have 6 points. We beat Manchester City, should have beat Liverpool, got a draw. A great comeback at Everton, and then this game, which we should have probably won as well. So again, we gained 6 points from last season, but we should have had more. We should have probably had what you're looking at, 3 wins and 1 draw. The Everton game was going to be a draw either way. But we should have had 3 wins. We should have beat Liverpool. We should have beat this Manchester United side, and then we beat Man City. So we should have had 10 points rather than 6. Those that's what's going to win you the league. As they played today, the first 74 minutes, when you looked at Arsenal, it was dreadful. Chelsea, Swansea, and now this game, dreadful. Absolutely dreadful to watch. This isn't the Arsenal side that we're all accustomed to. There's not too many times where you can say that an Arsenal side is just boring to watch, and they're just. It was dreadful, like I said. You can't win the league like that. You can't win the league with that type of mentality of saying, well, we have 2 more games, it's no big deal, we're still going to get third. You have to have the mentality. I guarantee you probably Chelsea will go out there tomorrow or today when you're going to be listening to this, because they play on Monday night. They're going to go out there and still play their game, and they're still going to try to go out there and win the game. They've already won the league. They have nothing else to play for, but they're still going to go out there and play the best of their ability, because some of those players are still trying to prove to Jose Mourinho that I belong in the starting 11, I belong in the side, please don't sell me over the summer, stuff like that. They still have points to prove. For us, a lot of these players must feel so comfortable with Arsene Wenger going to choose them no matter how bad you play. How many times do you have to play poorly in a position to finally get put on the bench? With Aaron Ramsey on the right side, he's played poorly for the last 2 games. You could say he played poorly against Chelsea, so out of the last 3 or 4 games, he played awful. Even in that Hull City game, even though he got in a goal and assist, he didn't play all that great. But then what happened? You push him back into the central midfield, and for the last 20 minutes of the game, he looked like one of the best central midfielders in the BPL. And Santi Cazorla, same thing. He's had a horrible, ever since about the start of April, he's been average at best. But yet he still gets games. He's still playing in that CM spot. How many? Like I said, I don't get it, honestly. The mentality of some of these players that, well, I can play as poorly as I want to, and I'm still going to be playing in the FA Cup final. It's the FA Cup final. This is for silverware. This is to add to your collection. This is to be the kings of the FA Cup. Currently we're tied with Manchester United with 11. We win this one, we can go to 12, and we can be the kings of the FA Cup. One of the most prestigious cups in the world. It's the oldest. On top of that, and some of these players, I just don't get the mentality. I don't get the way of thinking. Like I said, you can't win the league like this. You need to go after all 3 points. You need to have that mentality of playing 90 minutes every game. And I just wish they would get to that. I wish they would turn that corner, because that's what we're all waiting for. And I wish they would turn the corner. I hope in the Sunderland game that either it's going to probably be the same starting 11 possibly. I hope Theo plays on the right, to be honest with you. Unless I think Danny Welbeck might be back for this game or the West Brom game. Hopefully he is, because we miss him, we miss the width, we miss the pace, we miss the skill. We just it just makes everybody better when you put the right players at the right positions on the pitch. Um, so I hope in the Sunderland game there is a little bit of rotation, because some of these guys too, for some odd reason, they might look like they're wore out too. Even though they haven't had a midweek game since, I think it's been QPR was the last midweek game that we've had, and that was a couple months ago. So having the excuse, well, these guys are probably tired. From what? I mean, they've had a week of recovery, week of rest. Yeah, they're training, but again, it's not. There's no pressure other than when the game starts coming up. I know traveling is difficult, especially when you go up to Manchester United. But at the same time, you know, I mean, I just like I said, I don't understand it. I don't get it. This is. I hope there's some type of rotation. I hope maybe Rosicky gets a game. Hopefully Theo starts. Hopefully Jack starts. Just get some type of rotation so these guys aren't playing. Especially before the FA Cup final, so these guys are primed and ready and completely 100% for that game. Because right now, I guess that's all that matters. All we need is, I think, one more point. To secure third. I mean, it is secure. I mean, we're going to get at least 1 point from West Brom or Sunderland, and then our goal differential will just take us over the top. Because it is essential not playing those 2 extra games in the beginning of next season. Because I guess the Premier League starts fucking way early. I don't know if it's because of the Euros. It might be because of the Euros in the summer of 2016. But the season, I believe they said the season starts on August 8th for next season. So that comes kind of like fast and furious. And again, it might be because of the Euros. Maybe someone can answer that question for me. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just give it like a little bit of a fan response. I don't know. I know many of you probably watch Arsenal Fan TV, and there's a Manchester United fan on there. Mo tried to cut in on him, but I mean, what a little pissed off little runt. What a jealous little runt as well. Talking about how our fans are boring, our fans are lackluster. Our away fans we have the best away fans, period, in the BPL. The best home fans are probably Crystal Palace, to be honest with you. They have probably the best atmosphere of any home side. But away fans, we have some of the best, in the BPL, hands down. If you take the FA Cup quarterfinal, we had 8,000 to 9,000 fans there for that game. This game, we only had 3,000 fans there, and you could still hear them through the TV. You could still hear them out singing. I mean, what does Old Trafford hold? Something around 77,000 people, something around there. So you figure you minus 3,000 Arsenal fans, 74,000 Manchester United fans, and they were getting outsunned by 3,000 Arsenal fans. You even seen it at the end of the game. There's a video of it of Louis van Gaal addressing the fans after the game, and Arsenal fans were talking over him to the point that Louis van Gaal had to scream into his mic, so people could hear him because the Arsenal fans were out singing, still singing. And this little prick comes on Arsenal Fan TV and says we're rubbish and that we're lackluster. Yeah, it's just jealousy. We finished above them 2 straight years now. Embarrassed. He's trying to say that Manchester United fans and their atmosphere at Old Trafford is the best in the beat. No, it's not. It hasn't been. It was like a pin drop. In there again for the second straight game that we've come to Old Trafford in this season, in the second half of the season, and outsun them. 74,000 to 3,000, and we still made them look like little pricks. And of course, this little prick. I mean, he was so mad. He was so mad. It was hilarious. Robbie was laughing his ass off. Mo tried to cut in, but this little prick. It was just funny. If you haven't viewed it, go check it out. I even tweeted it out. It should be on my timeline somewhere. Um, but a little nugget too. I listened to the podcast of Arsenal Fan TV. I guess a little transfer news. I think. I guess the scout, one of the head scouts for Arsenal, went to the Lyon game over the weekend. I think it was today, to view Fekir. Um, He's basically like a number 10. I think he's playing on the wing. I think he plays on the wing and he plays as a number 10. And then also they're trying to scout Lacazette. That's like a little nugget of information that I found out from one of the podcasts, from the Arsenal Fan TV podcast. So I guess if that's everybody's wish list to get Lacazette into the fold, it might be a possibility. But Arsenal is going to be paying out. Because a lot of reports are saying that Lyon's going to try to keep a hold of him. But if you're going to pay out for Lacazette, who is the leading scorer in Ligue 1 this year, you might be paying out 30, possibly even 40 million to get him away from Lyon, and that's going to be a tough buy for Arsene Wenger to approve. To be honest with you, unless he really has that much confidence that he can be a striker in the BPL. I just don't know about that. I'm still on the fence about that. I still don't see it happening, just because of the fact you look at the past. Not too many small strikers have made it here at Arsenal. Not too many small strikers have even been bought by Arsene Wenger throughout his time. Even Wiltor was bought by David Dein under Arsene Wenger's nose. Arsene Wenger said no, and David Dein bought him anyway. So just that little nugget. But in these last two games, hopefully the last game of the season, you see some of the guys that are probably going to be let go. This summer. I'll probably get into that a little bit later in the Sunderland review after that one. But hopefully in the Sunderland game, we, it's one of our two last home games of the season. Hopefully there is rotation for this game, and we have to come out, guns blazing in this game. We really have to show our quality. We really just have to use everything that we have and just kill them early. Kill off the game early, because once you kill off a game against Sunderland, they're pretty much, they have nothing. They really have nothing to show for on the pitch. I mean, I'm upset that they're even staying in the BPL this year, to be honest with you. Yeah, they have the points to stay up, but at the same time, I don't think they deserve it. You look at a team like Hull City, they actually went out and spent money in the summertime to strengthen their squad. Unfortunately for them, they had so many injuries, so many key injuries to a lot of the players that they bought over the summertime, that it's hurt them. But I'd rather see a Hull City stay up in the BPL, who spends money, who wants to spend money to stay up in the BPL, and try to compete. Yeah, they're not going to win the league. They're going to be continuously like a bottom half team, but at least you're going out there and spending the money. Whereas Sunderland, all they're doing is pocketing the money. And it really pisses me off that teams do this constantly, where they feed off of teams like Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City and Manchester United and Liverpool. All the big teams that are given all these TV rights because they are who they are, because they are some of the biggest clubs in the world. And you see a team like Sunderland just pocketing the money, and they're not trying to make their squad better. They're trying to make their squad competitive. So like a team like that, it just pisses me It just pisses me off. Even like a Newcastle too. I mean, they want their ownership to sell the team. Some of the fans are saying it would be better for them to go down, because maybe it would bring new ownership. It would bring more, just like a different identity to the club. But again, same thing with Newcastle. They didn't spend a whole lot of money for like the last 2 years in the BPL, and that kind of pisses me off when you see teams like this, where they rather just pocket the money, and it's like stealing money, to be honest with you. So it pisses me off. I'd rather see a team come up and have players that bust their ass, every single game, to try to, kind of like a Burnley. I'm sad to see Burnley go down, because those players, they didn't spend a whole lot of money either. But at the same time, every single game, those players busted their ass. And you just don't see that from Sunderland at all. I mean, their fans were walking out on them, midway through the game. There was one game where a ton of fans walked out even before the first half was over. So I just wish they would go down, because I don't think they deserve to be in the BPL. But yeah, this will be it for right now, and hopefully it'll be a good week for us. It'll be a little bit better. We need a win. We need to get back into winning ways so we can gain confidence for the FA Cup final. And that'll be it. Later.